getting ready. Drones taking flight. FLYDAY's out here, always doing the U.S. Drift Circuit rounds. Does a fantastic job getting that nice angle, either on fun runs or even comp. Seems like they're backing up the drivers. Think they need to switch sides, possibly. Maybe warm up the tires a little bit more. When they're sitting there and their tires get cooled, it's not a good thing. They need to re-warm them up to get them ready so they can have the proper traction and grip going throughout this whole track. And the judges give the okay. We're waiting for the lights. Willie Espinoza and Luis Braz. Luis Braz is in the lead. Willie Espinoza in the chase. Nice initiation from Luis Braz as he's filling out that first outer zone. A little bit of bravado, but now he's diving into this alley to go into interclip one. Use some left foot braking to pivot that car around. Here's Willie Espinoza being loud and proud all the way through with that RX-7. A little late transition on that final outer zone that makes him lose a little proximity.
I mean, Luis Braz is doing the best he can to put his car on rails. It seems like he's been very consistent with putting his car in all the same places, even earlier on in the day in practice. And now being able to roll straight from the seating bracket into the main event for any of these drivers who haven't been away from their car for very long or are just trying to keep themselves mentally on the track, they're able to just get out here and continue with same old repetition from what they've been doing all day.
And Willie Espinoza has been looking very tuned and locked in with every lap he's been doing today compared to what we've seen previously in previous rounds. But now he's going to be in the lead. Luis Braz is going to be in the chase. We are waiting for the lights. Looks like there's a little bit of rain on the track. A little drizzle. This is going to possibly change up conditions if it gets heavier. See a little pond in the middle of the track, but here we go. Willie Espinoza and Lewis coming out here. Willie Espinoza, nice initiation, smooth and consistent throughout the first outer zone. Keep it close proximity to the wall. Diving into this alley and trying to go into that first interclip. A little bit wide on that interclip, but Lewis is keeping that proximity throughout each part of this track. Willie Espinoza scrapes that wall. Smoke screen, engage.
Excellent run by both drivers there. Espinoza getting up on that wall nice and early into the bank and then just staying glued to it until it was time to drop back down for that second outer clip. And then when it was time to respond to it, past that inner zone in the center of the track, we just got to see a massive surge from Luis Braz as he kept it on his door, reeled him in, and stayed there until he came across the line. So excellent job there by both drivers.
That lead from Willie, it was amazing to see. And a good chase can also be deemed because of a good lead. We just seen Colette.
All right, and it's official. Luis Braz moves on. Luis Braz with the win. And this is for our main event. So Luis Braz moving further on in the bracket. And Espinoza with an awesome performance today. But the judges have made their decision. And, I mean, honestly, Luis Braz has been on it. We've got the the Lewises have both been on it. Lewis Braz, Lewis Lunds.
Yep.
And now it looks like we're seeing a repeat battle.
Yep.
What we saw in the seating bracket. That is Colette Davis up next against Juliano and Manuel. And we saw how this went last time. Colette Davis was able to rocket away. It looked like it was a little bit difficult for that red S13 to just keep up. So now's a different chance to get a hopefully different outcome, and we're going to have to see what happens.
And Colette Davis having that momentum and probably that euphoria of winning a whole seeding bracket, but now it just starts there. Here it is, main event, top 32. Juliano's in the chase, Colette Davis in the lead, coming in with a nice initiation e-brake rule, and Juliano just off angle, cuts the track short, and trying to gain that proximity and reel in Colette, but Colette is continuously walking away from Juliano, missing outer zone 3, but filling out outer zone 4. Wow, did you see that initiation from Juliano? Whoa.
Yeah, he was ready to just set it and forget it, and then full throttle, taking about a mid-line to try and reel in Colette and not get left behind, which honestly is the right decision if you know that you're going against a faster vehicle. You got to do what you can and choose what sacrifices you want to make to stay in it. So good job picking that mid-line, trying to get into it. It looked like Colette just kind of rocketed through the course there. So it's a very difficult scenario, and obviously his car just seems like it's very comfortable getting a lot of lock. So and Colette's kind of strategically choosing how much angle she wants to gain and sacrifice and then put out just to keep the momentum in the car up. So these are different choices, different styling driving choices, and ultimately it's got to pay off in a result for each of them that hopefully gives either one the win.
Yeah, Colette is kind of driving like a smooth criminal, getting right into the nice angle she needs to fill out the zone, and then Juliano is just being a straight gangster and throwing in as much angle as possible. Now Juliano's going to be in the lead. Colette Davis in the chase.
All right, so it looks like that was not a judged run. That was going to be a sight run. So they're actually moved to the next battle, and then I do believe some tires need to be changed. So we will see that come back out. That was a little taste of what's to come in that battle, but it was not a judging run. It's not a run that's going to be analyzed by the judges. We didn't have the drone up in the sky. Very important tool, especially because where the judges are situated are the same vantage point that we have. So we can tell you firsthand, it's a really great perspective for some parts of the track. For others, once the cars make their way around this first bank, that's where we are. So if there's a lot of smoke, we can see some things, but the drone can certainly see a lot more, staying up with the cars, especially overhead.
Yeah, it seemed like they chose to do a sight lap, and the drivers just kept the close proximity going through. But it was the sight lap was to make sure that the drivers know how the track conditions are to prepare themselves for the battle.
And so now looking over the bracket, because we have the full copy of it, while they discern kind of next moves for setting up the next battle, we can just talk about some notable things that we see going on here in the bracket. So we do have Hayden Williams going against Henry Pavin. Hayden Williams driving the Lee Yearwood's S15 or S14. Yeah. So and then we've got Henry Pavin. It's not an S15, my bad. S13 with the S15 front. And then we've got Henry Pavin driving his new chassis, somewhat new. He's had it for, I want to say, almost a year now.
Yeah.
He was usually driving a lower power 350Z. Now he's getting himself a taste of higher horsepower, a much more aggressive build car, and he's grown into it really well. Of course, he had contact earlier today, so it looks like they were able to get it all worked out, and things are still running fine because he's out there on the grid, staged and ready to go. So later also we know that the winner of that same battle is going to go against Andrew Grindle, which we also know is a fierce competitor. We've had Andrew Grindle with us in the previous seasons, also a Corvette driver, very comfortable in his car. And the Corvette's proving to be a really competitive chassis. It's been in drifting for a few years now. I think everyone's getting a really good idea of how to get a good result and good performance out of that chassis. And it's making it very difficult for some of the older, styles of just building drift cars and so slapping off-the-shelf suspension and hoping for the best. It's just really making it difficult for those guys to keep up. But definitely if you're in drifting and you're looking to take it seriously, it's hard to not recommend that chassis.
Yeah, and with John Temple actually is another guy I'm looking into, especially how he's developed throughout the last year. and now he has a new motor in his car. He actually had an issue today breaking the differential. Got it replaced. He's been able to get back on track, but he's been having some issues with the car throughout the off season, and we'll see how he performs out here. I know there are some ACS members that is actually one of his stickers on his car. It's actually a thank you to the ACS community. And then we have other drivers out here like Christian Catrone. Christian Catrone is a driver that has been locked in as soon as he made the definite decision to actually compete in this series. That I tell people that with a person that just has a newborn, he has a 6-month old at home. I was talking to him, and as soon as he gets on the line, he's having that kid in the back of his mind. He's like, I got to make this kid proud.
Yeah, and I like that you bring up John Temple. You know, John Temple's a great example of a driver who's grown into his car, and it is more the norm these days because a lot of building a performance or high-performing drift car is much more accessible today than it used to be 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. So, the drivers like John Temple, he got into a chassis that had the LS swap. He had all the adjustable suspension. He's got nitrous going to the car, and we saw him kind of struggling with getting some consistency out of the car over the last 2 years, and it's made massive differences working with the people on Assetto Corsa, just trying out different things on the sim rig, getting more seat time in the car, and it's really interesting to watch not just the drivers who are really good, but the drivers who are just, next time you see them drive, you are excited to see how far they're going to come. Because it's almost like every time he steps on the track, he's gotten a better result than the last time we saw him.
Definitely. And now, speaking of Christian Control from earlier, he is battling Gabriel going in to this top 32 battle. But we have our battle coming out here, filling out that first outer zone and being aggressive, going into the alley, going into interclip 1. Beautiful fill out as he is going to outer 2 and 3. Huge angle. Going to outer 4. It looks like a shutdown from the Infinity over there.
Yes, so that was car number 17, Andreas Messner, versus Matt Schulman in car number 20, the S13. And Matt Schulman coming out here feeling really comfortable in his car. He did a great job earlier in the seating bracket. He seems really comfortable right now. Looks like there was a little bit of fall apart in the middle of the course for Andreas Messner. So interesting to see. I mean, the car's so capable. I don't believe I've seen that Infinity before. But, man, it makes a lot of power. It puts out a ton of smoke. And he's definitely a go-getter. You can see he's got a very aggressive driving style. So, not sure what's at fault or what's to blame for anything where some of the runs have fallen apart today. But absolutely excited to see just the potential in that driver and that chassis, and to see him hopefully participate in more rounds this year.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of see what he's able to do if he were to do a full season with us.
And Matt Schulman is getting ready. And it looks like there might be a competition timeout for our driver over here, Andreas. Next one we'll have is, looks like Hayden Williams and Henry Pavone. Henry Pavone is the
looks like the next battle that we have up here. We're waiting to find out what's going on with those two cars coming off track. But in the meantime, looks like Hayden Williams and Henry Pavin are moving into the burnout box right now. And we were just talking about this battle earlier. So once again, this is Hayden Williams driving and Lee Yearwood's S13 with S15 front on it. And then Henry Pavin making a little contact with the wall earlier today. Looks like he's still out there. I'm not sure if there's anything that he's going to have to adapt to, or if he's running and there's still some sort of awkward property he's got to adapt to with the car. But right now, I mean, I will say this much. Henry's a very adaptable driver. He's gotten very comfortable with just making every technique with drifting and an extension of himself. So this one also, I think, I mean, we've just got a lot of great drivers, a lot of fun action. That's exciting to see.
And it's it looks for Henry compared to previous when he was scrubbing his tires. At the beginning, it was kind of a little bit of a struggle to trying to get those wheels to break loose, but we'll see how he performs out here for the lead lap and chase lap. Hayden Williams, Henry Pavone.
There we go. Hayden's going to lead. They get off the line. Staying pretty close to each other on initiation, and it looks like might be a restart.
Looks like there was some technical issues from the lead driver. That's a shutdown. And it looks like another 5-minute call for Hayden Williams. Not another 5-minute call, but another 5-minute call in this competition. Hayden Williams will be calling out.
All right, so just got a little bit more information there. So the previous run coming off track, Matt Schulman and get this right here. Matt Schulman and Andreas Messner had made contact with the wall in the infield of the track and is taking a 5-minute timeout. Matt Schulman is still out there ready to do his next run. So as soon as he is back, we'll be able to see those guys return to competition.
Okay. So Hayden Williams and Henry Pavone took a
All right,
5-minute.
So we've got, I think, 3 5-minute timeouts going on right now. So that's the same thing with Hayden Williams and Henry Pavon. And now we have Colette coming back out with Juliano Emmanuel, this is going to be a 2-run event. The first one originally, it wasn't a judge run, so we're going to see 2 hopefully consecutive runs out of this. And it looks like Colette pulling up to line. She's going to lead.
Colette Davis been super consistent. Even on the previous lap she did, it was just filling out each zone, being as smooth as butter. Colette Davis out here in the lead. Here's our battle. Colette Davis versus Juliano. Colette Davis dives into that first out of zone. Juliano is trying to wheel Colette Davis in. Colette Davis goes close to those cones, but then dives into the inner clip, being a straight gangster, going into outer zone 2, filling it out, and then diving into the final 2 outer zones. I think I found a new favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very similar run to what we saw last time. We saw Manuel just throw a lot of angle, take the midline, do the best he can to keep up with Colette, and I mean, that's really what you got to do in that decision. I think he made every right decision as a driver.
Oh yeah, and the funniest thing is, like, with some of these drivers, they have the fan clubs and everything. When we were watching the seating bracket and we were talking about the seating bracket, every time when Colette moved on, you hear a cheer in the crowd, which is great to see in the Pro-Am series. But now we have Colette in the chase. Let's see if she'll reel in Juliano. Juliano is very snappy and aggressive when he goes into the initiation to the first outer zone. So Colette, I believe she's probably going to give him some space and then dive in using all the horsepower she has in that Corvette.
Well, this is where you see another display of skill as a driver.
Yep.
I mean, to follow another car that's the same competitive grip and same speed as your car is one thing, because then obviously you're pushing your car to the limit and staying close. But following a slower car is also where you really start to shine. It exercises an entirely different discipline as a driver.
And here comes Colette in the chase. And Juliano coming in with a snappy ignition, but bobbles out of the, and he's just filling out smoke show going into inner clip 1. Looks like he has a lift going into inner clip 1.
Oh.
And there's some contact.
Couldn't really see from here what happened there. It looks like there might have been either just a mistake or a stall or some sort of contact. Looking right through the smoke on that one, though, and Manuel just came all the way around the bank, full throttle, lots of angle, lots of tire smoke. That was awesome to watch coming by the judges' booth. All right, and it's official. Colette Davis gets the win. Colette Davis gets the win and is moving on in this competition.
Yeah, buddy.
It looks like the judges were able to decipher what happened there with our eye in the sky with FLYDAY Drones, always giving us a good feedback for the judges to take a look at and hopefully make all the right decisions for the competition. But absolutely awesome start to that run. I mean, the S13 was all the way tucked up against the bank, pretty close there. Lots of angle, lots of smoke. I definitely saw the means of a really great run starting to get formed there. Unfortunately, it went south, but excellent. I mean, his driving style is awesome. I can't wait to see that evolve more in the series.
It's super, super unfortunate for that driver. It sounded like he lifted, and then there was some contact because I didn't hear any throttle response from his S chassis. But we have our next drivers coming up.
This next battle is Alex Buick versus Carlos Santos. Alex Buick in the lead. Santos trailing a little bit further behind, giving Alex Buick some space. Carlos Santos now surging up to play catch up. A little bit of an oddball run there. Carlos Santos seemed to be hanging back on the initiation, giving Alex Buick a really large gap to play catch-up on. And then obviously just from there we saw a couple mistakes from both drivers. So on this one, definitely plenty of room for that second run to determine the winner.
Alex is real loose on the back end going from outer zone 2 to 3 and then being able to snap into that final outer zone. But it was strange seeing there was no chase driver. It was just straight smoke behind him.
Yeah, the other thing I kind of noticed hearing Alex Buick come around the bank is that I do tend to hear that the RPMs are just a little bit on the low end. It almost seems like he's just kind of like letting that engine churn through the tires, but not really pushing it, not really at full throttle. So I'm not sure if that's a gearing issue, too much grip, but it does seem like it's something that's plaguing him a little bit because there are some zones where he's not getting all the way out, and it seems like if he were able to just get the revs up, get a little bit more wheel speed underneath the car, he'd be able to translate that to just running all the wider lines on the track and filling all the zones.
Here we go. Here comes Alex coming in here, giving him some room. And he's just late initiation. It looks like no initiation for Alex in the chase. And as we have our lead driver coming in, bobbles and then straightens in inner clip 1 and then tries to dive out to outer zone 2 and misses outer zone 3. Very unpredictable lead lap on that one.
Carlos Santos off to a strong start, then coming into this outside area where it's time to dive down to the midsection of the track. It seemed like he was trying to prevent himself from going 2 tires off. It looks like he might have just held on there and just made it so it was a 1-tire drop. And but unfortunately, it did take him a little bit longer to transition, and that seemed to choke up Alex a little bit. And then on the transition, you just saw him after choking up to try and not have any collisions or get too much of a surge on Carlos. He ends up not really having enough speed behind him to just rotate around that inner clip. He ended up having to kind of shut it off. So You know, definitely both drivers are way more capable than I think what we saw in that run. And that's definitely, I mean, my belief watching these guys, they both have been absolutely shredding earlier on in the day. But that's both runs. And now the judges have an answer. So Carlos Santos is moving on. Carlos Santos is your winner and moving on to the next round of this competition.
And now we have our next driver coming up. That is so we're trying to get some eyes. On what's going on. That looks like Louis Lance out there. And Carlos Santos is going to be going against Sasha Prospero. Sasha Prospero is a fiery guy.
So here we go. Louis Lund is going to be doing a bye run. He's just going to go ahead and make a lap here because his opponent, who was supposed to be pulling up to the line, John Wyndham, is unable to compete against him.
It actually looks like Christian Catrone filling out each zone. Going all the way through, filling it out, being real spicy.
Oh, there we go. So that was Christian Catrone out there. Sorry about that. Yeah, in the dark from across the track, his Corvette looked, you could have sworn that was Louis Lund's.
But Christian Catrone is the driver I was talking about earlier, that he is having a spotter from the Virtual Drift Championship. One of the rookies who missed out the Rookie of the Year this year, but he's out there just shredding. He's also the prospect spotter out there in FD.
Yeah, so it looks like later on in the bracket we'll get to see him after that bye run face off against Colette Davis for another Corvette on Corvette battle.
Our brackets are filling up from what we're seeing.
And now it's time, I guess, to talk about who the next opponents are that we're going to see. So if you've been watching everything or you're here at the track and you've seen the seating bracket, remember that not everyone took place in the seating bracket. We had drivers who were our top performers in the previous season and regulars that are our top drivers locked in already to this. So we're going to see those faces jump into competition now. Among them we have Nick Ward, we've got Ryan Kaufman, Sasha Prospero, and Ryan Acevedo as well. I mean, these are all drivers who are our top drivers from last season. So excited to see them all face off now. Sasha Prospero rocking a new look. Ryan Kaufman's out there in the blue ARC-7 Rockin' Taxi Garage. It's got a couple more battle scars on it. It was all nice and brand new last season. He's using the same as that car. Everything's the same, but he's gone out there and he's taken a little bit of battle scars from a lot of his exhibitions with Taxi Garage, going out to drive at all these different venues and all these different events for publicity. So absolutely awesome to see him here. That also means he's gotten a lot of seat time without having to deal with too many changes.
We had these guys have a 5-minute timeout. It's Andreas versus Matt Schulman. Andreas Messner.
This is Andreas Messner in car number 17, Matt Schulman, car number 20. And we are coming back from that 5-minute break. So excited to see this is our second run. The judges have a copy of the first run. We saw contact on the concrete barrier there from Messner, which is what triggered that 5-minute timeout. And Matt Schulman's been pretty consistent. He now had to kind of get out of the zone. Now he's got to get back into it for this chase run. And Messner's going to need to really pull something out. We know that Infinity is super capable. So excited to see if he's going to go for broke on this run.
rowdy run.
Absolute smoke show.
Looks like the judges have made a decision. We're waiting for our drivers to pull up. And it looks like Matt Schulman gets the win.
All right, Matt Schulman building some momentum today. Excited to see him move on. I mean, this is where consistency really shows. He's out here, and there's some cars that seem like they might be a little bit faster, but he knows how to get as much grip and as much power out of the car that he's driving. He clearly knows the car really well, and it's able to lead to just consistency on his runs. So now it looks like we are moving on to, and we're just kind of moving through the end of our 5-minute break. So that was the second half of that battle, and now we are returning to the second half of the battle between Henry Pavin and Hayden Williams.
Henry has been having a rough time today after making contact with the wall in outer zone 3.
All right, now coming back to this battle, they came out here before, they set off from the line, and then neither one of them initiated. That was a counted run because there was no reason for a restart, and they shut down. So now this is the second battle with Henry in the lead. Making his way around the course, did a pretty good job around the bank. Could have gotten a little bit closer. Now he's shooting up towards this wall he had a little bit of bad luck with before. And seeming very comfortable. So whatever issue he was having with that car before, definitely seems like he was able to work through it.
And this looks like it's going to be a clear-cut decision after what we've seen on the first lap. All right, it looks like Henry Pavone does move on. Yes, we did say it was a little bit obvious, but Henry Pavone moves on, and we have our next battles coming out. Actually, this looks like it might be a bye run. Here's John Wyndham finishing out his lap. This is his Byram, and he's going to be going against John Temple. Lewis Lance had to bow out. Unsure why he bowed out, but John Temple is now ready, and he's getting situated, kind of focusing and getting situated on that. But now we have Ryan Kaufman versus Daniel Pereira. Ryan Kaufman is one of the taxi garage guys. They've been all over the world driving their crazy carts. It's pretty cool to see that, especially doing like those get-togethers in Orlando.
Yeah, I mean, and you nailed it by making sure you said around the world. Originally, they were just doing this locally, and within the last year, these guys have gone to Italy and been on TV in Italy promoting Taxi Garage. These guys have been to Dubai and promoted Taxi Garage over in Dubai. And even for big events on our home soil that are just worth noting as international icons, I mean, they got to go down and do a whole bunch of promotions for the F1 Grand Prix in Miami. So excellent work. These guys are just doing everything they can to push their passion. And at the end of the day, they get to do what they love, drifting, as a means to sell their product. So these guys are definitely living the dream. It's so cool to have watched them come up from our grassroots scene down in South Florida to now just building an empire, and they're doing it all with their best friends.
Oh yeah, and he's locked in. I always tell them whenever I see them drive, it's very fun. You just see how he initiates, and he's just out there just to have a good time. And he is going against Daniel Pereira, and we're gonna see how the pressure, if he's gonna feel that pressure on the lead or in the chase. So we're gonna see how Ryan Kaufman is gonna snap in and lock in on this initiation. Judges are ready. We're waiting for the lights. Here we go. Ryan Kaufman, Daniel Pereira. Ryan Kaufman in the lead, coming in with a nice initiation with that FC. Trying to get a deep line, but he's keeping it on that first outer zone, fulfilling it out, and then straight diving to try to touch that inner clip. Beautiful positioning, and he gets himself to outer zone 2, and then trails out outer zone 3, going to outer zone 4. And my goodness, Daniel Pereira was a little bit of a struggle for him in the chase from him.
Yeah, Ryan Kaufman just looking so comfortable in that RX-7, coming all the way around. I mean, from where we can see, that just looks like a killer lap. On the other side of the track, I couldn't see if I saw any dirt flying or not. It's really difficult to see through the smoke this late at night. But definitely you can see how comfortable he is in that car. And he's made some changes over the years, just with the last couple, to try and add some more power, dealing with some steering issues. All this opportunity to go drive at all these different locations. He's worked through them all while also just working on his adaptability. So in a situation like that where you've exceeded to just drive the local tracks that are near you and really expose yourself to new elements in driving discipline, you're now showing up to a track where it's new for everybody. And if you're more adaptable than the rest of the drivers, this is where it begins to show.
Yeah, some of these drivers actually did compete in the previous competition here, but it still wasn't the same caliber because of the type of tire compounds they had. But now we have Ryan Kaufman now in the chase, and Daniel Pereira in the lead. Daniel Pereira with a shallow angle going to that first out of zone, but he's into his alley to dive into intercept one and snapping, slowing down just a little bit. But my goodness, Ryan Kaufman is there, door to door, all the way around, but then losing the proximity, and it looks like he got choked up just a tad.
Great job, Ryan Kaufman, reading the movements of the Z in front of him, doing the best he can to stay close without causing any issues. I mean, absolutely tremendous driver there. That was impressive to watch. Sometimes just being on the door of someone where everything's going, perfect on the perfect driving line is easier than following something where the run kind of starts to fall apart.
And it looks like Ryan Kaufman gets the win and moves on. Taxi Garage FC. And if you notice, if you're probably seeing it on the stream, the rain is starting to come down just a little bit more. It's getting a lot more slick out here. But the track temps are going to be a lot different. You got Duarte out here versus Dustin Eland. And Duarte doing a fantastic job in the seating bracket, getting second place, battling against Colette. Dustin Eland had a lot of struggles today. He had to get his car spec'd out for the tech inspections. He had to cut out a bash bar to kind of weld it into his car so he could get it passed through. And these guys have been busting their tails all day long. It's so great to see that David and Goliath story right off the rip, and seeing them out here on the track saying, I'm going to be competing today.
Yeah, I mean, he's out here, and now he's going to be able to drive. And unfortunately, all these drivers who were just on track, they are Well, what I was about to say is that a lot of these guys are going to be coming out on the track, going from the most amount of grip they've had to the least amount of grip they've had, and it may prove difficult for them. But Duarte seems like he's just got a little switch in his car that goes rain, dry, and he's just working his way around the track. So I'm not sure if that was a sight lap or what that was, but we're going to see them. I'm sure he's returning to the line, and then...
And for the people at home that have never seen a drift competition, with a sight lap, it's just trying to feel out the grip levels of the track so they could get used to it. And my goodness, that bucked up BMW is getting a little too spicy. Almost made contact with that wall, but he knows how the track conditions are, and I think he's going to get himself situated.
Yeah, so just confirming, too, that was just as an official confirmation, a sight lap both drivers are getting now. And we're going to continue with that down the road for the rest of the bracket as long as the conditions are still like this, because as I was saying earlier, I mean, these guys have been driving and with it really hot out, then it started to cool down. They are going from the most amount of grip they've had all day to the least. So on this track, especially never having felt it or experienced it wet before, they're going to need to feel it out. Duarte clearly just locked in. Some drivers are very proficient in driving in the rain, and definitely it's a benefit to be a Florida man when it comes to drifting, because when it gets onto the global stage, you've got to drive in the rain a lot if you're going to compete in drifting in this state.
And Duarte had the experience to drive in rain when it was with LZ Fest in Cali. I think it was the first round, and now he's just kind of stabilized himself. He's kind of comfortable. He's calm, cool, collective. When we see Dustin Eland out here, he was kind of skittish going into that inner clip, but it looks like this possibly could be our lap right here. Duarte coming out here. Nice initiation from Duarte, getting super close to the wall, and then locking in the angle, and then filling out outer zone one to go dive into this alley. Dustin Eland is struggling with this rain, but Duarte is filling out that inner clip better than what we've seen. Dustin Eland spins out on that inner clip, but Duarte is out here straight shredded all the way through, man.
And there you go. So obviously a lot of trouble in Paradise coming through the track for the chase driver there, and it's just very difficult to get a grip on these conditions. Duarte doing a great job, though, and also looking at his car setup, just kind of walking around. If you've seen in the pits, he's got a really wide tire in the back there, so it does help a little bit more in the rain. It's all about contact patch and just salvaging whatever grip you can, and obviously familiarity with the vehicle. So this is sometimes what I really like to watch, though. We were just talking about this, because there are other states in Formula D where it's funny, because even on the pro level, like when you're looking at Formula Drift drivers, sometimes when there's a rainy event, some of them will struggle. And I think a lot of our guys that develop their skills here in Florida, they're not going to have any of those issues when they make it to that stage.
Dustin Eland going out, filling out the first outer zone. Duarte bobbling a little bit. Not sure if he should keep that proximity, but he's still keeping there. Oh, Dustin Eland over rotates. Duarte saves himself. All right, we're waiting for the drivers coming out. You got the bucked up livery BMW. After all the trials and tribulations from today, unfortunately it came up short, but Duarte gets the win and moves on. Dustin Eland struggled on this track with rain, but I commend him with all the hard work he had today to try to get his car set up so he could compete today.
I mean, it's really difficult to put just, into words just how stressed and how tired and exhausted from today Justin must be, because, I mean, he fought so hard to get the car running, had to do a late tech inspection just to be part of the show, and then right when he's about to do his run, the rain starts to come down. I mean, that was literally our first run under these conditions. He's clearly having a hard time. He may even be already trying to deal with some sort of a handicap on that car, because obviously if he got it, running last second so he can compete, there's usually some kind of a sacrifice drivers are making. Usually those kinds of efforts to get a car running aren't the best times that car is running optimally.
Yeah. Now we have our next drivers coming up, getting ready to go in the burn box. It's going to be looking like Ryan Acevedo versus Luis Braz. Ryan Acevedo last year he was fighting back and forth with Louis Lantz. And now he's battling another Louis today.
Yeah, I mean, the Lewises have been on fire today, so definitely hoping that we can see him compete against a Lewis without going airborne. That's the last time we saw him go against a Lewis was at OSW, and we had a little bit of a kerfuffle there between Louis Lunds and Ryan Acevedo actually getting launched into the air after a collision. But Ryan Acevedo is such a stand-up driver. His car has stayed relatively the same as far as how it's set up and how he likes to keep it tuned. And also a driver who usually has a pretty good strong suit as far as his ability in the rain. And then on top of that, this other Lewis we were talking about, I mean, he's been on fire all day today. So now the consistency could change based on the weather conditions, but this is where it's really going to test him because Louis Braz has been going out there and just copying and pasting his runs. He figured out this course, and then he was able to just replicate it because things were relatively the same. So interested to see what's going to happen here. And yeah, drifting is rain or shine. So if you want to win, you got to know how to drive in the rain.
Yeah, and Ryan Acevedo has been doing a lot of other events besides U.S. Drift Circuit in the offseason, but we're going to have him go out there, do his sight lap, and then Louis Braz is going to be doing it as well, give it some room. Acevedo just feeling straight, tuned, and locked in throughout the track. We saw him locked in on the competitions previous, but today during practice, he's been very, very relaxed, very composed when he's going onto that first outer wall.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, a sight lap, you can almost think of it as a little bit of your 7-day free trial. I mean, these guys are going out there, and we're able to see a little bit of what their process is, and some of them aren't going to necessarily do a full committed lap on their sight lap. Some of them will just kind of feel out how slick it is by just kind of swerving the car around. But Ryan Acevedo just went for the full lap, and he looks very comfortable with the conditions.
Ryan the Space Ranger Acevedo. He's actually, he plays guitar and likes to sing. So let's see if his guitar is as tuned as his car today. Like that one, huh?
I'm going to have to hold him to that.
That was a good one.
That was a good tie-in. Good segue.
Yep. Here we go. Ryan Acevedo in the lead. Louis Braz in the chase. Ryan Acevedo is not afraid to put that car close as possible to that wall. But he's getting that nice angle, using that throttle modulation. Goes back that proximity and feeling comfortable in the rain. Not face. Oh, there's a little bit of a straighten in the inner clip. Ryan Acevedo is just reaching each zone, getting super close to that outer zone 3 wall. Going to outer zone 4. Huge angle, snaps right in, and just buttery smooth throughout the whole track.
Yeah, Louis Braz was playing it aggressive. He was looking to get into the pocket and stay there, and he was making amends with the conditions throughout that run. And then, unfortunately, when it came to the midsection of the track, I think he got a little bit squeezed with Acevedo taking a mid-line. And then when he just got pinched up and had to do that weight transfer and get himself around that clip with Ryan, it just led to a little bit of a fall apart there. So unfortunate to see, but absolutely this could still go either way, especially in the rain. If Ryan Acevedo goes and all of a sudden loses it, you know, it's going to be something that Louis Braz is pretty thankful for. But Ryan Acevedo's on it right now. So now he's got to do this in the chase. And Louis Braz has an opportunity to try and just use the slickness to his advantage, use up the whole track. Because at this point, you want to really create some way to differentiate yourself.
All right, here we go. Louis Braz in the lead. Ryan Acevedo in the chase. As we see a bunch of the stands just clear out and go into the spotters area up top, it's pretty hysterical seeing that. But now we have the drivers lining up. Here we go. The lights are going. Luis Brass in the lead. Ryan Acevedo in the chase. Let's see if he'll hold that close proximity as Luis Brass was doing on the last lap. Ryan Acevedo getting a nice angle and then mirroring the angle of Luis Brass, being as spontaneous as he can be, giving them some room for that transition. And here is Ryan Acevedo diving into the inner clip, closing that proximity in, going to outer zone 3, holding it there. And here comes outer zone 4. Smooth transition from both drivers. Good Lord.
Excellent job by Luis Paz, just getting it together and locking in to adjust to these conditions and put together a clean lap. Unfortunately, it may not have been enough because Ryan Acevedo just had a really clean lead on the previous lap. Excellent driving. What a way to turn things around.
Beautiful, beautiful positioning from Ryan Acevedo during that transition from that outer 3 to outer 4. He was able to mimic and get that transition buttery smooth. Wowed the judges. And then it's looking like the judges made the decision. Ryan Acevedo moves on to the next part of this bracket. Some people call them avocado. Don't know where it comes from, but I love saying Ryan the Space Ranger Acevedo.
All right, and we talked about this battle in the past. Now it's come back up. Colette Davis versus Christian Catrone. Another Corvette on Corvette battle. Colette Davis has done a great job earlier on in the competition and performing pretty well all day today. And then once again, these conditions are going to test things. And we just saw a great example of that. Ryan Acevedo, we didn't even have to see him in the seating competition. He comes out in his first lap in the rain. He's locked in. And we saw Luis Braz have to kind of learn across the laps and be able to lock in. So now the question becomes, is this going to be a repeat? Colette's been out here driving in the dry this entire time. And now Christian Catrone is going to step out and hopefully perform as best as he can. And we know he's driven in the rain at Sebring with us in the previous seasons.
This is going to be an interesting battle because from the practice that Colette had yesterday and as well as what Christian Catrone had practiced yesterday with the wet as well. So they're both kind of acclimated to that wetness of the drivers or of the track. But now we have Christian Catrone in the lead. Colette is going to be in the chase. They are going to be performing their laps. Oh my God. That was wild to see. Christian Catrone goes on that first outer wall during the sight lap, and he's like, credit or debit? Swipe.
Yeah, I know sometimes people go out there, they buy tickets to the gun show. He sells tickets to the fun show, making his way around the track, not sacrificing an inch, using all of the track. And same thing we saw Ryan Acevedo come right off of sitting watching the seating competition, and conditions changed, and he just went ahead and he delivered. So Christian Catrone doing great. Colette Davis getting a feel for that. We didn't see her piece it together as well on her sight lap, but I think she was definitely making observations as she went along. So we can see what changes she makes between her sight lap and the actual competition lap, and she's going to be following. So that's also a pretty good advantage. If you know that he just did really well in the rain and you're kind of feeling it out, it's a good idea from a driver's perspective to try and mirror the other chassis as similarly as possible, especially because they're both Corvettes.
Here we go. Christian Catrone in the lead. Colette Davis in the chase. Two Corvettes coming in here. Christian Catrone with a nice brand new Corvette. A little bit slippy going into that first initiation point, but then locking in, using all the angle, riding the outer wall. Oh, mercy! Going into this alley, being super aggressive right off the rip, letting the judges know this is how I'm gonna throw that angle through each zone. A little bit shallow on outer zone 3, but beautiful lead lap from Christian Catrone.
That's got to be the closest anyone has gotten or will get to that wall all night. He put his bumper on that wall and just glided it all the way around. And then Colette Davis, credit where it's due. She hung with him. She did the best she could to just stay close, didn't let him get away from him. In the rain, it's just as difficult as it is in the dry because it's slick. A gap that is 10 feet is almost harder to close in the rain than it is in the dry.
It also goes into the fact of the show is Colette Davis, I don't believe she actually has ever tandem with Christian Control previously, so she was probably hesitant on how he was actually going to perform, but then that could also bite you in the tail. But we have Colette Davis in the lead, Christian Control in the chase. Let's see how these Corvettes rock and roll. American muscle out here at Citrus County Speedway. Oh, now you're going to stand up so you feel I was the same height when you were sitting down, man.
Just couldn't do it anymore. It's been a long day.
Here we go. Colette Davis in the lead. Christian Control in the chase. Second half of this battle.
So we go very slow start, of course. There's no grip off the line as Colette makes her way to this wall. She's being a little hesitant to get out there. She's not as close to the wall as Christian Control was, but Christian Control is right there on her door. This is definitely the toughest battle I believe Colette is going to face all day. And here he comes tucking around the inner clip. Neither one of them taking it out. And right there, Colette's establishing just a little bit of a gap. But that is going to be a really close one.
I'm in awe. That was insane.
That's a tough fought battle, absolutely. I mean, both of these drivers, and I got to say, Christian coming right off the bench, just sitting, watching everyone else drive today, just getting out there, filling all the zones, super impressive. Colette Davis just answering the call in the middle of the battle, equally impressive.
The craziest thing is on outer zone 1, that initiation, Christian Control uses angle to slow himself down and then creep up to the door and change Colette's Spotify playlist. That was insane. But we'll see what the judges are looking at. They're having that drone replay. Either way, how this goes, these guys should not hang their head down for win or lose on this situation.
Well, I love the standard that this is setting. I mean, these drivers that we have that have been with us for multiple seasons, they've really tailored their driving from their experiences over the years with us. So all of our people that we're seeing, that the returning faces, the fact that they're having such a commanding revisit into the presence after the seating bracket is just really awesome to see, especially because we've seen where they started from a couple years ago. And Christian Control, I mean, drivers like him, Sasha Prospero, they were even really good a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a constantly evolving skill, and there's always something to work on and improve on, and we see that pay off here. And Colette, you know, she doesn't have as many years underneath the belt as some of these drivers, and specifically the discipline of drifting, but she's definitely putting the work down where it needs to be, and you got to give her credit for that.
Oh, she's, from what I've seen on the previous battles, from what I've seen on her social media as well.
And we got an answer from the judges. It looks like they're actually going to go one more time. We're going to see the Corvette battle go one more time. And I think that's actually going to be more rewarding to watch because Colette was learning with each lap. And Christian Catron, that was him, like, first laps out here with this condition. So we know that he can turn it up a little bit more. She's certainly got some more room to turn it up. I mean, this is going to be a good battle when they come back out here. And it looks like up next, we've got Eric Nogura and Matt Schulman.
Oh, Eric over-rotated on that one. Eric, the fireball, Nogura. Last year, emitting a huge fireball from the back of his Corvette.
It looks like Eric Nogura having a little trouble trying to figure out these conditions. Matt Schulman, a little bit of adjustments working around his sight lap. The first lap, or first corner, he kind of had to wait for Eric Nogura to clear for him to start feeling out the track. Now, Eric Nogura, another driver that's been with us multiple years. He actually had one of the most viral photos of a car on our track in our series, and that was, I At Sebring International Raceway, obviously, it's a historic racetrack. We try not to paint historic things with spray paint or track paint. So we were actually using cooking flour for a little bit to just try and put the lines and not cause any damage to the track. And it took a right position backfire for Eric Noguera to go ahead and turn some of that into just a giant fireball. And so a photographer got it on camera, and if I'm him, that's probably still my wallpaper.
Yeah. And another photographer probably has singed eyebrows. The fireball was huge.
All right, so that was the sight lap. It looks like for the first run, Eric is going to lead. Matt Schulman's going to chase. There we go. A tough break there for Eric on the first run around the first turn. He tried his best to make what he could of the track on his sight lap, and unfortunately, I just don't think he was able to account for it accurately enough, because that was just a really quick spin. He just had no grip all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Eric Noguera. I'm surprised that it took it to this point where he over-rotated and spun out. Something not common for him, because even on Sebring, he was able to lock in and keep that angle. Might be something going on with his vehicle, maybe. Nope, it looks like he is going back to the line.
And Matt Schulman, he's feeling out the rest of the track, but that's actually 2 laps in a row, both the byrun and when he was chasing Eric, where he didn't get to fully initiate and full throttle commit through this first turn. So he still hasn't really gotten to feel that out. If he can just, play a little bit safe on this first turn, he is dealing with a run 1 with Eric spinning. So he really just needs to play it safe, get through this lap, and see himself through to the next part of this competition.
And what's crazy is the rain is letting up, and there's little to no rain, but the track is still wet. And these guys are just dealing with this Florida weather, which can be as crazy and unpredictable as possible. Now we have Eric Noguera and going to be in the chase with Matt Schulman in the lead. Matt Schulman is getting situated. Eric Noguera is waiting for the lights. It's unique to see at this track how a lot of the drivers don't give up like a run-up for themselves in the chase. A lot of them just line up side to side compared to other tracks. Here we go. Second lap of this battle. Eric Noguera versus Matt Schulman. Matt Schulman going in with his initiation. Eric Noguera is trying to get his back end loose so he could get that proximity right off the rip, but it looks like he's struggling to keep that proximity. Another spin out from Eric Noguera as Matt Schulman is going out and trying to fill out the track. Oh no. As Matt Schulman is coming out there and finishing up his lap. It almost looked like Eric Noguera almost went on the wrong side of the track for a safety concern, but I think Eric Noguera in this helmet is very frustrated with himself on this.
Yeah, at Pro-Am, what a lot of people at home, may not always be keeping in mind is that these guys put a lot of preparation into not just the event, but the whole season, and they understand that their performance each round is going to determine how close they get to their dream of securing a pro spec license, and only the winner of the series gets one. So to come out to an event like this, try to make the most of practice, and then unfortunately just kind of have weather get the best of you. It's enough to make even the most confident drivers just have a moment where they kind of want to shake it off and hit the drawing board. And I'm sure leading on to the next time something like this happens with conditions, Eric's probably going to try to be even more careful, and that's really all you can do.
Yeah, and Matt Schulman gets the win and moves on. The next battle will be Henry Pavone versus Andrew Grindle. Andrew Grindle has the number 3 on the back windshield. Raise hail, praise hail. We got these guys doing a side lap. Even though the rain let up, they are going to let them do a side lap. Andrew Grindle has been out of this event all day with little to no practice laps. But he's able to get his car dialed in and locked in. Looking very, very done with getting everything situated, with Grindle being under the hood most of the day and then coming out here and putting out a side lap just like that. It's actually very, very fascinating as a driver and skill and talent that these guys have.
Yeah, and Andrew Grindle's always really answered and dealt with a lot of different conditions. You know, it's funny because at Sebring, we don't just have a couple of rounds where we were plagued by water, but parts of the track where people were tire dropping, we had issues where there was a big mixture of dirt and water and spreading mud all over the track. And so Andrew Grindle's done a pretty good job dealing with the different surfaces and being able to come in and just immediately throw it like that. He's feeling comfortable. And same thing with Henry. He's been at a lot of events, especially in South Florida, plenty of rainy ones. So I know both of these drivers are comfortable in the rain at any track.
Here's Andrew Grindle in the lead. Henry Pavone in the chase. Andrew Grindle coming out here with a very generous initiation. Little angle going to outside one, but then now dialing in the angle into this alley to dive into the inner clip 1. And here comes Henry Pavone trying to reel him in like a big old fish into outer zone 2 and 3, but he's still losing a little bit of proximity. But Henry Pavone has been going through a little bit of a sloppy transition out of the outer zone.
And making his way around the track, Andrew Grindle employing some techniques there to just play it safe. A lot of drivers, when they know they're in the rain, they know that the car can rotate much quicker, so they try to sustain a little bit of a lower level of angle if they want to just make sure they can stay tidy, because that's more important. If you go out with big angle and you're trying to get those style points, but in any given moment it could lead to a spin, it's just not worth the risk. So good job analyzing, how he was feeling and making the right changes to just make sure you could get around this track. And Henry doing the best he could to mirror and mimic, and it looks like he probably would have liked to keep a lot more proximity on him and put his car in the pocket a lot better. But now he's going to get the chance to lead, and there's going to be no car in front of him, so he can try to put down an absolute awesome lead run and try to challenge Andrew a bit.
Here comes Henry Pavone. Oh, a huge bobble on out of 1. But Andrew Grindle is going shallow on the track as he is trying to keep that proximity throughout that alleyway. Henry Pavone is trying to fill out inner clip, but Andrew Grindle is getting close proximity to outer zone 2, outer zone 3, and now he's mirroring the angle of Henry Pavone all the way through. Super spicy run in the chase from Andrew Grindle.
Excellent chase there. I mean, Henry doing the best he could to make his way around the track. It seemed like there was a lot of throttle blips, which are usually just a bit of a sign of hesitancy from the drivers if they're not really comfortable with the conditions. Usually in the rain, the drivers who are most comfortable with the conditions, they'll typically have a very smooth modulation of the throttle. They're slowly applying input. They're slowly bringing back down the throttle. When you hear a lot of blips, it's usually a sign of hesitancy. And we've got it confirmed. Andrew Grindle gets the win, and he is moving on. But that's definitely the key indicator. I mean, when you can really tell a driver's comfortable, or if a driver is comfortable in these conditions, purely based off the sound of their engine. And obviously there's other things that are visual. You can see if they're making really jittery, movements with their steering wheel. But the guys who really know how to drive in the rain, they're just so smooth with the throttle. They know that they're just applying it like butter on the track just to make sure they can rope around. And sometimes a lot of those throttle blips, even though it's what you naturally want to do to try and keep it all together, it can end up really damning you in the long run, because if you blip the throttle and gain a whole bunch of wheel speed and you don't check your e-brake right away to stop it, then that wheel speed can slip the car out from underneath you.
Now we have our one more time battle. Christian Catrone versus Colette Davis. Saw very, very aggressive runs from both drivers. And not Andrew Grindle. Christian Catrone just made out a smoke show at the start line. I think he smoked himself out.
So now both drivers got a taste of the immediate conditions. That was only a couple battles ago, so this should be a run where both of them have a little bit of predictability on their side now.
It might have been the track, the conditions are probably a little bit drier than when they were competing in before, because it was raining a lot. But we'll see how they perform out here, as we have Christian Catrone and Colette Davis in the chase. Two Chevy Corvettes. One more time battle, waiting for the lights from the track crew. There are the lights. Here we go. Christian Catrone in the lead with that black Chevy Corvette. Colette Davis in the chase. Whoa, mercy! As Christian Catrone gets super close to the wall. Huge angle going into this alleyway, and then diving in to inner clip 1. Beautiful speed going all the way through outer zone 2. Colette Davis is trying to reel him in through that ride of that wall, that Link ECU wall on outer zone 3. Whoa!
Andrew Grindle going ahead and adapting to these conditions and feeling more comfortable, to the point that he decided he was going to go ahead and take a little bit more risks. Decided to get even closer to the wall and even making contact with the wall in the outside zone near the end of the course, where we actually haven't seen anyone else intentionally do any kind of just really close proximity with the rear bumper. So doing a great job. As you can see, it's actually pushed in a little bit. And now it looks like he is pulling up to the track official. We're going to work on finding out what's going on. We see Christian Catrone pulling off of track right now.
Looks like this is a competition timeout for Christian Catrone.
All right, so we got confirmation from the judges that that was a 5-minute competition timeout from Christian Catrone to go take a look at his car. Not sure if he's having any kind of mechanical issue or if he just felt himself make contact with the wall, possibly a little harder than he wanted to, and just wants to make sure everything's okay. And definitely there's no issue with exercising an abundance of caution in competition. You do only get one of those timeouts, but if you think that it's the proper time to use it because it's one of your tougher battles of the night, then it's never a bad thing. And while they're taking care of that, we've got a real treat coming up next, because we have a familiar face stepping onto the track for the first time today, and that's our very own Sasha Prospero, who the look of his car has changed quite a bit over the years. Always in the S14 chassis, though. And he started out with it all red, mismatching panels, stock body, nothing for style. All he wanted to do was get really aggressive with his driving, really learn how to use his angle kit, how to huck the momentum of the car. And then once he realized he can do it without causing any more damage, then he decided to make his car nice and pretty. So we've got him rocking the white and the gold today. It looks great.
And we have our chase driver. Looks like this is our individual from earlier, Carlos Santos, who has been watching the U.S. Drift Circuit and now is competing, pretty much putting where his money where his mouth is. And he's like, you know what? I want to compete and be a top dog in this competition, put my name out there. It's beautiful to see that. Now, Sasha Prospero is a tough competitor, especially in this type of track. He is really aggressive in the chase. But I'm always excited to see him drive.
Yeah, and it's never too late. I mean, Carlos Santos was making some mistakes earlier on in the day. At any one of these laps, though, can be where it really clicks for a driver. And that's just how it goes sometimes. You make your laps. Some of them could be kind of sloppy. Some of them are clean. And then one just clicks, and now all of a sudden you are able to just repeat the same result every single time. And Sasha Prospero is just one that is his car is an extension of himself. Like I said, it's really been the same car underneath the entire time. So you know, these are where if you see the car that's about to understeer, oversteer, you start to see it sliding out from under you. These are the drivers that know how to make the quick adjustments when they see that about to happen and stay in it without actually leading to a spin or contact.
If you're building a track car or a daily driver, Autosports Engineering has got you covered. We manufacture some of the best billet performance parts in the market today, from transmission conversions to custom carbon drive shafts and drive shaft adapters. We use only the highest quality materials and equipment to ensure that our parts are not only strong, but also the finest quality. Whether you're looking to improve your vehicle's performance, reliability, or durability, Autosports Engineering has the perfect solution for you.
There's no better way to test your tires than on the racetrack.
They're absolutely shredded now.
That's why at Kenda Tires, we compete with the same tires we sell. And that's how the technology built into every Bethesda UHP Max tire goes from podium
What a performance.
to pavement. Whether you're a professional driver chasing podiums or a grassroots enthusiast looking for weekend excitement, Kenda Tires are designed for your journey.
Whether you're building a dedicated track car or a daily driver, Autosports Engineering has got you covered. We manufacture top quality billet performance parts that cater to a wide variety of applications, from transmission conversions and custom drive shafts to valve covers. We use only the finest materials and advanced technology to produce the most reliable parts out there in order for you to achieve your goals. If you would like to find out more about our products, feel free to reach out to us at autosportsengineering@gmail.com or check out the website at autosportsengineering.com.
Link is the engine management solution for champions the world over. We know what it takes to win: pushing boundaries, performing under pressure, and having the best people on your team. Our tech support are performance specialists, available 24 hours and ready to talk one-on-one about your winning formula. Link ECU, the performance, reliability, and power to get to the podium.
John Wyndham gets the win and moves on. Unfortunate result for John Temple. Has been having some struggles with that car, but we will see him in the next round.
All right, so now we have Christian Catrone and Colette Davis making their way back out into the burnout box for the second half of their battle. They already did one run, and then they need to take a 5-minute timeout. And we're going to see the second run now.
We have Christian Catrone scrubbing up his tires. He had an issue. Waiting for Colette going out. Looks like there was a minor issue with Colette's car, but is able to get back in there. She's able to scrub the tires. Cruise control is patiently waiting. Here is the second half of that one more time battle. Christian Catrone did a spectacular wall ride on that first outer zone, but let's see how Colette Davis comes out here and wreaks havoc on the track. She's been very consistent throughout the day, going through the seating bracket, going to the top. Here comes Colette Davis. Nice initiation, trying to get to angle, but here comes Christian Catrone, holding in that angle and trying to mirror it as well. And going into that transition, bumper to bumper, into that inner clip. Christian Catrone is being super spicy, closing that proximity. A little but huge bobble from Colette Davis, but Christian Catrone is maintaining angle in the chase.
I think great job by both drivers. Colette Davis getting right off the line. Same thing, even in the wet. Now she's starting to get some more of that momentum. That car's just a rocket off the line, racing to the first corner. She started to establish a small gap at the beginning of the run. Christian Catrone was reading every opportunity to try and close that gap, though, and in any moment of hesitation, it seemed like Christian Catrone was able to capitalize on it. But both of them doing a great job making their way around the track. They both are clearly very comfortable in their environment. And now it's up to the judge to see if they can deliberate and get an answer from this one more time battle.
Super flashy how they got onto that line. Just trying to one-up each other is great.
All right, so it looks like there's a bit of confusion on that run. There was a restart light on that one. There's a restart light on the track, and if it goes off, the drivers both know to go ahead and shut down the run and just go ahead and return to the line. Both of them ran it as a full run, but that was not a judged run because the restart light went off the moment they set off from the line, and from that point forward, it immediately was not a run. So they had the option to basically shut it down and just pull back around. They did do the whole run. I don't know if it was by choice or if they didn't see the restart light. But now this is going to be the run from that. So Colette back in the lead position here. And here we go. Christian Catrone trying to do the best he can to keep up on the line. Colette doing the same thing as last time, getting a good gap right off of the start. Christian Catrone dropping down in that line a little bit to try and get closer. Colette could have been a little bit higher. And Catrone making a big mistake out there that sacrificed a good amount of his proximity. And now getting back on it to try and close that gap one last time. And then able to reel her back in by the end of the run, but definitely overshot that zone for a little bit. And Colette Davis, she could have gone definitely a little bit closer to the wall in the first corner. And then Christian Catrone definitely, diving in the midline to keep up was the right move to make. And then I think Colette able to just, being a little bit on the midline, diving down, was able to change the angle of her attack onto the midsection of that track. And I think Christian Catrone just didn't gauge how quick they were both going, and before he knew it, he was about to shoot himself off the track. But good recovery, and now it's time for the judges to deliberate and see what's going to happen.
Judges are going to be reviewing the first half of this the battle and then the second half. Take it. Christian Catrone had to do a 5-minute timeout. Next drivers are in the burnout box is Duarte and Ryan Kaufman.
All right, and while we wait for an answer, the judges, again, have a recording of the previous run, so they aren't just comparing their notes on paper. They're actually looking at the replays of both runs to make sure they can try and stop this from going one more time. If there's a way to choose a clear winner, they're going to opt for taking a little extra time and looking at that video to see if a winner can be determined. Because one more time is really only to be used if when you dot your I's and cross your T's and you talk about their mistakes and what they did right. If it really is equal, then the one more time is really a last resort. Looking at that next run, regardless of the outcome of this, I mean, even if it would be another one more time or whatever's happening next, the next drivers are already up on that line, and it's Duarte versus Ryan Kaufman. That's going to be a great battle. Both of these drivers, very comfortable, wet or dry, making good amount of power, making good amount of grip. Ryan Kaufman's been getting more grip over time, and familiarity with the chassis is up there. I mean, Ryan Kaufman with that RX-7 goes back to when I first saw, drifting really blowing up in Florida, and it was just a different color. And then Duarte just really making presence for himself in that car. He's had that car for years as well, almost a decade, I assume. And it seems like it's just been forever that car has been in the Drift HQ family.
There's two guys that are very comfortable in the chassis that they're in now. A lot of experience in it. It's going to show out here on this run. And this is going to be it should be a very tough battle.
All right, and we have the answer. Christian Catrone gets the win. Christian Catrone gets the win and is moving on to the next part of this competition. That was a close one, and we talked about this earlier on, is do not leave it in the judges' hands. I mean, we had to spend a lot of time, just looking at them parked there because the judges had to go over a lot to try and come to a winner. And as a driver, it's just, that's where the mistakes really count against you, is that both drivers made some mistakes, and then now mistakes have to be measured to try and find a winner because they both felt comfortable. But if there was one that came out here and just laid a pristine run, it would be a much easier answer for the judges, and that would be the clear decision. They would get to move on right away.
I must say, though, after Ryan Kaufman just straight tears up this track. I'll revisit the previous battle, but and Duarte doing their sight laps. Going straight. Oh, a little bit too spicy from Duarte. Duarte is coming out here, getting used to it.
And now on those sight laps with Ryan Kaufman and Duarte, we're starting to see a little bit of smoke. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Start to puff back up again.
Yeah.
And so Duarte going out there, being a little bit finicky, trying and make what he can of the grip out there. And then Ryan, the cough drop it like it's hot Kaufman, is doing the best he can to just put on a show, it seems. I mean, he already knows what to do. He seems very comfortable. So now it's just a matter of whether the party is going to match the competition, because Duarte's very, very serious behind the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Kaufman's definitely got that competitive side to him, but it's always a party behind the wheel. It's not, and that's where the gangster factor comes from, behind the wheel. When you see the style and just how aggressive he can be, it just looks like he's having fun. So this is really fun to watch. Ryan Kaufman, here we go, in the lead. Duarte giving chase. Look at that initiation. Ryan Kaufman looking to get close to the wall, setting himself up to get pretty close. He stays in the outside zone. He could have been a little bit higher. Duarte mimicking him as they make him into the midsection of the course. Duarte transitioning and looking to stay in the pocket. Both of them getting around that clipping point without taking it out. And we see Kaufman getting up there again to the wall as they transition. Duarte doing a good job mirroring. Would have liked to see a little bit more proximity, but I think a lot of that just has to go with the fact that, I mean, the conditions are half wet, half dry. There's a little bit of tire smoke, there's a little bit of not, so I don't expect every zone to get filled, but definitely a fun run to watch to get started, and now it's going to be Duarte's turn to lead.
It's crazy to see how Duarte has developed throughout the day with adapting and overcoming from each type of condition he has, but on the track. And now you have these two guys that I'm pretty sure they've drifted plenty of times together, whether it be when the Drift Factory or Drift HQ and going into Fuel Fest. It's going to be exciting, but we have Ryan Kaufman in the chase. Duarte in the lead. Duarte coming out here. Let's see how aggressive he will be. Coming in with that initiation, going all the way to the wall, shallowing up some angle, but then diving out of the zone and trying to get into that inner clip. Dirt drop a little bit and then goes and misses inner clip 1, but trying to get to outer zone 2. Struggling to keep that angle there, but all the way through to outer zone 4. Duarte is out there having fun. Man, that was sketchy when he tire dropped right there.
Yeah, and also, I mean, just to add more to what these drivers are just kind of dealing with, we are getting later into the night now. We had some delays, we've had some crashes, we had a lot of 5-minute timeouts. You know, we've had some just delays of getting everything a little organized when it comes to just the communication on things. So now, some of these drivers, I imagine, are also getting kind of tired. And it looks like Ryan Kaufman gets the win. Ryan Kaufman gets the win, representing Taxi Garage. He is moving on to the next round.
Oh, that next battle is going to be teammates, Taxi Garage teammates, Ryan Kaufman and Nick Ward. But now we have Sasha Prospero coming out here on a bye run. Letting his S jacket sing. Well, it was a bye run. It's actually a sight lap for Sasha Prospero. Looks like Nick Ward's going on a buy run.
Okay, so it looks like that was a buy run earlier from Sasha, and now we're moving into our top 8.
And Nick gets the win. He was waiting for us to tell him he got the win for that buy run. All right, so we are back up to speed now. So we are in our top 8. Ryan Acevedo just did a buy run because Christian Catrone reportedly could not appear to the line. And then the winner between Matt Schulman and Andrew Grindle is going to go against Ryan Acevedo. On the other side of the bracket, we've got Sasha and John Wyndham. And then we've got Ryan Kaufman and Nick Ward at Taxi Garage on Taxi Garage Battle. We have our next battle, Matt Schulman and Andrew Grindle. It's actually looking like we're going to skip over to Nick Ward and Ryan Kaufman.
All All right, so there we go. So Nick Ward not driving his gray S14, Taxi Garage S14 that everyone's used to seeing him in, but this is not the first time he's appeared in this. This is actually Adam Ginkle, one of our fellow U.S. Drift Circuit drivers and previous judge and also previous competitor. This is his Infinity that he's jumping into. He rented it for one round of Pro-Am last season, and now he's jumping in it again. And then obviously Ryan Kaufman driving a car he's very comfortable with. But I wouldn't let anything deceive you. Nick Ward is very comfortable in this Infinity. He was able to get himself very close to a podium, or actually I believe he even got on the podium last season with this same car. So he's familiar with it. He's very quick to adapt to a track, and both of these guys drive together all the time. So as far as driving techniques and ability and even habits, these guys know each other better than any other driver out here, because when they go drive at exhibitions all over the world, these are the cars that, or these are the same people they're driving with. So this should feel like a bunch of friends just going out and partying. It's a great opportunity for them to grab a clip for Instagram and just get door to door and throw it on their Taxi Garage page. So let's see. Nick Ward's going to lead first. Ryan Kaufman's going to chase. The light has gone out. We're going to see that Infinity leave the line. Ryan Kaufman looking to not let him get too much of a gap off the line. Smooth initiation near the wall, doing a good job getting proximity on the wall. Ryan Kaufman actually having a little bit of a struggle closing the gap. He's able to surge right here and pinch him in on the inside clip. And now he's just got to keep that proximity and make a little bit of contact. Oh my goodness, Ryan Kaufman, don't you know that's a rental? Making his way across that last zone. I don't know what to tell you, Adam. You're going to have to buff that out.
Crazy. It was extra. It was weird to see Ryan Kaufman be a little bit conservative going up to the initiation point as Nick Ward, but it seemed like Nick Ward has been battling demons with that G.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Kaufman just got a little bit of a tap there on that other zone coming towards the end of the course, and that was kind of like a double what's up. It was like, hey, what's up, Adam? What's up, Nick? You know, you're the driver. It's his car. I'm homies with both of you. I know you don't mind. So Ryan Kaufman, like I said, man, he has a definite party style. If he knows he can just make contact and make a gentle tap, he's usually going to go for it 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. And now we have them switching sides. Nick Ward is going to be in the chase. Ryan Kaufman in the lead. Here's our Taxi Garage drivers. Ryan Kaufman going in with a FC, coming in with a nice initiation to throw out the first outer zone, and now he's going to try to angle up on the half of that outer zone. Here comes Nick Ward being as rambunctious as possible to keep that proximity, but my goodness, Ryan Kaufman is just filling out each zone and having a great lead lap as Nick Ward is falling a little bit behind towards the end of that lap.
And there you go. And Nick Ward, he rented it, but he's driving it like he stole it, surging in on Ryan Kaufman. He took the midline and make short time of just getting up to the door, skipping the formalities, trying to close that gap so he can spend the rest of the course just practicing, staying close and hovering right on Ryan's door. Both doing a great job at doing that. And obviously I got told by Adam what's going on with the car. I had to go talk to him when I found out that Nick Ward was driving it. And he let me know. He's like, by the way, it spits flames now.
Nick? Come to a decision, and it looks like Nick Ward gets the win and moves on, knocks out his teammate Ryan Kaufman.
There you go, not the rental.
There it is.
There you go, so very exciting to watch. I think that might be one of the only times you've ever seen that happen at any U.S. Drift Circuit event where we get to see Nick Ward and Ryan Kaufman battle it out. I got to say, as impressed I am as that is with a rental, I got to remind anyone that's watching this, please don't try this with an Enterprise car. This is still a rental full drift car that he got, and we've obviously seen what that car's capable of, not just in Nick's hands, but Adam Ginkle, when he's out there driving and piloting that car, he's the one that put it through its paces and made sure that it's a car that can be competitive, and we've seen Adam Ginkle drive that car all the way up to a podium and just do an excellent job. So he's worked on it piece by piece, made sure that it was something that Nick Ward could jump into and make actual use of. It gave Nick the tools to be able to come in here and win a battle.
And we have Andrew Grindle in the lead, Matt Schulman in the chase. Andrew Grindle coming in, shallow angle, trying to reach out to the outer zone, missing it. And in the second half, going into his first under clip, using some left foot braking to pivot that car around to outer zone 2. And here comes Matt Schultz all the way through to outer zone 3 and trying to keep that proximity, but giving him some room for it, the transition. Matt Schulman out here. A little bit conservative on the chase, but he was able to kind of dial it in and stay within active chase towards the end of it. He was really close to him on that inner clip. And here's the second half of the lap. Andrew Grindle is now in the chase. Matt Schulman in the lead. Here we go. Matt Schulman coming in with a nice initiation.
Oh, Matt Schulman getting high on the wall, making contact up on the bench. Andrew Grindle answering the call by surging and keeping that proximity. He understands that Matt Schulman just hung 10 right in front of him, and now we got a shutdown from Andrew Grindle. There we go. Matt shoulda, coulda, woulda, Schulman out here making drivers regret their choices, and he's just been cleaning up shop this entire day. He's been doing a great job being consistent through multiple conditions now. He's seen himself come back to the dry. And they're going to pull up to the line here and get the answer. It looks like the judges already have a decision made on this one. And Matt Schulman gets the win. Schulman gets the win and is moving on to our top 4.
It's looking like we're shaping up our final 4. You got Ryan Acevedo.
Shout out to our flatbed too. I mean, he's been putting in hours today.
We have Nick Ward as well as in the top 4.
All right, so we are back here. We're just dealing with some track details here. So it looks like we ran a little too late on our schedule, and unfortunately we are going to have to call the competition here. So we made it to kind of shaping up what our top 4 was going to look like. We're going to have to deliberate, and U.S. Drift Circuit's going to have to decide how they're going to handle this. But we are having a curfew enforced on us. It's unfortunate for everyone that came out today who's out to compete. But, you know, Tiny, really quick, I mean, overall, what do you think this is going to be up for the rest of the season, though, from what we've seen here today and how the drivers are driving?
From how the drivers are driving, they've been dialing in their cars. I am starting to become more of a fan of Colette Davis because of how consistent she was throughout the day. That's someone to keep an eye out for throughout this whole season, especially how she was dialed in through the seating bracket and was able to lock in, as well as Christian Cadrone. Riding that outer wall like a gangster was amazing, as well as Ryan Acevedo. Those are the top 3 people I think we're going to be paying attention to throughout the season.
And I think since it's only round one and anything can happen even within a single competition, the same is true for an entire season. So excited to see what's going to happen this year. But thank you so much for being with us, and we hope to see you at the next round of U.S. Drift Circuit Formula Drift Pro-Am.